Welcome to the Dunlop Sports and Social Club, where this afternoon the North Midlands County Crown Green bowling team have a very important match with their arch Midland rivals Staffordshire. North Midlands, having won 2 games already, are top of their group, so this afternoon is extremely important if they're to reach the semi-finals. The county have already appeared in the finals of this competition on 4 occasions, the last being in 1991. For those unfamiliar with the game of Crown Green bowls, it's played basically by 2 players, each having 2 bowls. The player with the bowl nearest the jack will score 1 point. 2 bowls, obviously, 2 points. It's the first player to reach 21. The conditions here this afternoon are excellent, and with me and helping me with the commentary is Bob Harrigan, the North Midlands President. A very important afternoon, Bob, for you as County President.
Yes, Mike, we feel that we're very confident. I'm sure if the away team will hold their own, I'm sure we'll quite enough shots in the bag here to take us through to our semi-final.
You've got some very good young players here this afternoon. How important for North Midlands are young players at this stage of the competition?
Well, very important. They are products of our junior county team, and they are coming through. Young Perry, Nick Skidmore, to name it 2, and Peter Spencer, who's made his debut this year, all providing excellent results for us. We're very pleased with our youngsters. We've got another crop coming through, and they're certainly doing the job, gaining the experience in the junior, where we can slot them straight into the senior team.
If you win this afternoon, the next question, can you go all the way?
Certainly, no doubt at all. We've got a lovely green ready for the semi-final, which will be quite a surprise for some of the Northern County, whoever it may be, to meet us.
So there we are, a confident Bob Harrigan and excellent conditions for an exciting bowls match. There are 15 counties taking part in this Martell County Championship this year, and with me is the team manager of North Midlands opponents this afternoon, Barry Pugh. Barry, so far this season, not a very successful one for Staffordshire.
No, we were unfortunate, I think, to run into a Greater Manchester team that were in really tip-top forms, particularly on their home green, and really and truly they gave us a good hiding. They were superb.
Now, Greater Manchester, of course, were last year's winners, and North Midlands defeated them in the first game. Where do you think that puts you this afternoon?
Well, I think it's all to play for. I mean, we're obviously hoping to beat North Midlands, though it's going to be a very difficult task. I mean, they're obviously a very good team and they perform well as a team. And of course you've got Greater Manchester. I mean, they're likely to beat Cumbria, I suppose, by quite a margin. So it's all to play for. I mean, we would hope to win this game and take it from there, really.
And of course, one other important factor here is this is on the home leg for North Midlands. The away leg is taking part in Staffordshire. Just a little bit about that green, Barry.
It's a very good green. It's quite a large green, not dissimilar to this. There's a lot of weight changes, not quite as exaggerated as this green. They're a little bit more subtle, but it's certainly a very good home green. It's one that we did very well last year against Shropshire, and we're hoping to repeat the dosage again today.
And finally, Staffordshire are known for their grit and determination, and you've come with that grit and determination here this afternoon.
Oh yes, I'll give everybody a bag full of it.
Thank you, Barry.
As we join the first game, Nick Skidmore is leading Chris Ward by 7 points to 5. The commentators are Mike Wakelam and Bob Harrigan.
Just to refresh your memory, it is the yellow discs on the North Midlands players' bowls. Now, here's an interesting mark. Nick Skidmore bowling straight into the corner. And that's not a bad bowl, probably a distance of something like 70 metres. Hard corners on this Dunlop green, Bob.
Yes, this one, it's all about getting up there on this one. We've got to get up that hill before it starts to bend. His opponent, Wood, is going in nicely now. Yes, I think it could be well short,
Difficult sometimes to see from our commentary position, but there are indications from the crowd that that last bowl delivered by Chris Ward is the shot. Fancies this Skidmore, running and urging this bowl on. This game's no longer one for old men's. It was referred as old men's marbles years ago, but the number of young players that are now playing it all over the country can be seen all the time. This bowl looks as if it's pulling away of Chris Ward's. One more to Nick Skidmore. Now, Bob, important question. If you were Nick Skidmore, what would be the next bowl the next mark you'd bowl?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure he'll. I would have thought he might have gone for a short one over the hill, but perhaps he fancies he's now taking on the long mark. He may repeat this long mark back down from where he's come from. It'd be interesting to see.
Let's see if Bob Harrigan is correct. Taking his time. Important in this game to take your time. There's no rush, plenty of time. That's one of the faults of many young players. They want to get on with it, and that sometimes has a detrimental effect. Still taking his time. Watch the delivery here. Beautiful delivery. No jerking, beautiful delivery. The jack now, which is biased of course, arcing round, swinging mark here. Now again, a beautiful delivery. No nerves now by either of these two players. They're well into their game. That ball's gone through. He won't be very pleased with that. An opportunity for the visitor here, Bob.
Yes, Nick set the trap. He's left the jack on top of the hill, but he's rather fell into it himself by going just a little bit overweight, and he's gone down into the basin where the previous end was.
This is an interesting bowl by Chris Ward, because I think he's turned it over. He's turned the bias over. In other words, he's come the straight way in, if you like, to the uninitiated, towards the jack. Still a reasonable bowl, still got to be beaten. And the bowl's starting to arc round now towards the jack. This looks to be better. And the sign of a good bowler, Bob, is one that corrects the second bowl.
Oh yes, definitely. That really does show the class of the bowler, the one who knows he's made an error with his first and can put it right with his second.
And it looks as if this is going to be another one to Nick Skidmore. So he's starting now to raise his game. He's 9-5 in the lead, but he's got to keep going, Bob.
Oh yes, it's a long way, 21 shots. Any lack of concentration, your opponent's in, setting a different mark, and the game can change rapidly.
20-year-old civil servant Nick Skidmore. His father's here today. Very enthusiastic about his son. Watching every move, living every bowl, and that's what it's all about. Pushes the ball out. He knows he's got to reach in this corner.
It's about 45 metres.
And the bowl now, as you can see, is arcing round towards that jack. Still a reasonable bowl. Looks a little wide wide to me, Bob.
No, this can come round. The green's running. If he's got the weight, it'll start to come round. He is short. Can't quite see whether he's on, but if he'd have had the weight, you go up right round the jack on that mark.
And of course, Chris Ward, who's a computer manager, hasn't quite figured out this mark yet, and that's to Nick Skidmore's advantage. Very important end this for the visitor. He needs to get hold of that jack fairly quickly. He certainly seems to be up this time. Arcing round down to that, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely the winning wood, I would think. Oh, he's going out the back. Nick's looking.
Yes, that was a good bowl by the visitor there. So he's got back. He's 9-6 behind now. It's obvious now, Bob, that he's going to change the mark. He's probably sussed it out that Nick Skidmore wants to get him in the corners, so he's changing. Interestingly, going to another corner.
Yes,
Camera 2 up.
Oh, he looks like he's thrown it off.
Camera 2 up.
Yes, here's an interesting.
Oh, now the jack's gone off. Now, it's important here in the rules that because Chris Ward has thrown the jack off, it now means that his opponent, in other words, Nick Score, will have the cast of the jack. But Chris Ward will have the opportunity of delivering the first bowl.
Which, as you see, Mark, is a bad mistake, because now he's going back onto the length and the mark that his opponent had set previously, which he couldn't cope with. He couldn't score on this mark, so
Yes, and when he reflects later on, if he happens to lose this game, Chris Ward will be thinking, well, you know, that was my mistake. That's the one error that I made. But nevertheless, he has the opportunity now of getting a good bowl, and he's got one.
Yes, quite a reasonable wood. I would say about a yard and a half away.
Now Nick Skidmore has got to keep his composure now. He knows that Chris Ward is not happy on this mark as an indication of the last end that Chris Ward delivered when he had the jack, when the jack went off the green. But I think he might have left this short, Bob.
Yes, left it short, yes. It'll trickle down a bit, but he's not going to.
Three, what are you playing around at?
Well, it is awkward, Mike. We can't
Three, what are you playing around at? Can you find a shot, please?
quite see, though, if this one bends in. Still trickling. Oh, it's very hard here. Could possibly trickle off. Just fell over on its belly.
Difficult to see who shot there. It'll be interesting when the players look. In fact, Chris Ward's already looking at that end in a deliberate way. But this is the one. Important bowl, this, for Nick Skidmore. He'll get control of that jack again. And that's what the game is all about.
No, he's not going to score with this one. It's going off.
So
Very fast there.
Decision time now. And it looks as though Chris Ward is indicating that he may be shot.
We'll soon see. Nick will...
Of course, if the players can't agree, which they can't, now we have the measurers coming onto the green. These will be one from each side, each county team playing. They will measure the end, but the ultimate decision will rest with the referee. So it's important. This is the first measure in this game. Two measures are walking across now. And the referee will soon be joining them. Now we have to remember that Chris Ward already has indicated he believes that he's shot, but the decision rests with the referee. And it looks as if Nick Skidmore has asked that his one bowl be measured against Chris Ward's two. And he's fully entitled to do that. It looks as if that ball is out. It's this one that will determine who wins this end. And that decision has gone to Chris Ward. Important end for that, Chris Ward, Bob.
Yes, I thought he would go down here with going on to that mark. I thought Nick loves these marks over the hill and round pegging to it. But Chris obviously scored that one now. He's trying to sort out a piece of ground. Looking rather puzzled.
The score now stands that Nick Skidmore has 9, Chris Ward has 7. And remember, it is the first player to reach 21. Interesting mark here, Bob.
Yes, this is one where the jack has just gone over the hill. They've got to gauge the weight to the top of the hill and just get it to trickle down to the jack.
Right, Skidmore will want to get in here. Here's this yellow disc ball travelling across the green towards the jack. Looks to have just missed the lance slightly. Chris Ward a little bit more here, waiting for this ball to arc round towards the jack. Very difficult to see from this angle who's shot there, but much narrower line here by Nick Skidmore. Touches his own, that'll have some advantages. Certainly one from this angle. Maybe even 2. He's looking again. Could possibly be another measure. No. 1-2 Nick Skidmore. What is your view of this game at the moment, Bob?
Well, we're a quarter of the way through, aren't we? Halfway through the game, nearly halfway through the game. They're both really trying to find a mark that they can settle on and bowl some good woods. That particular mark is very hard because they've just gone over the side of the crown and just got over the top, and really to produce a very inch-perfect wood there is very hard. especially with the running conditions as they are today. But as you see now, he's gone for a really long mark now, right into and that corner, I can assure you, is like concrete over there.
Of course, when we're talking about corner bowling, Nick Skidmore last year reached the finals of the Champion of Champions tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in crown green bowling, on one of the biggest greens in the country, the famous Wembley of crown green bowls, the Waterloo Hotel Blackpool. That was a tremendous experience, Bob.
Oh, marvellous, marvellous. It was to see Duncan actually pull out of his favourite corners when this young man had beaten him consistently in it, really brought a murmur from the crowd. Of course, he consequently went on and beat him comprehensively.
And of course, Brian Duncan is regarded by everybody in the game as the game's #1 player. Yeah. Now, at the moment, Chris Ward appears to be shot there. Nick Skidmore on line here at all, Bob?
It may go in the ditch. He's well over to the left. Yes. Very hard jack he's set here.
So he set his own jack, and it looks as if it's turned into disaster for him, particularly if this ball sneaks in for 2. Because it means instead of a 3-shot advantage, that'll now be reduced to 1, which is the closest that Chris Ward has been with him in this game so far. And it's certainly 2. So it's now 10-9 to Nick Skidmore. One other interesting factor about young players today is that unlike 20 years ago, Bob, they didn't have the advantage of being able possibly to play both games, and with the increase of indoor level green games they are, and one of those important facets of that game is the number of young players that are doing well. And of course Nick Skidmore, not only is he a North Midlands county player at Crown Green, he represents England at the under-25 level green game.
Yes, and as you know, he won the under-25 individual championship of England. He's also won the father and son competition with Alan, his father. But there's a lot of Crown Green bowlers playing the indoor game. Peter Varney's had a lot of success at it, Dave Rawlings, and the player that's on at the moment, Steve Bennett.
And of course, in the game of bowls in 1985, there was a sensational win by one of the top Crown Green bowlers, Noel Burrows, who beat the famous David Bryant in the Super Bowl. And that really created perhaps more interest amongst Crown Green bowlers in playing level green bowls. Now, this is an important end here, because at the moment Chris Ward is holding 1, which would put him level. But this is when the experience of the young player like Nick Skidmore comes to hand, and he's beaten that, and he's now taking an 11-9 lead. Thinking carefully about delivering this ball, concentration important, temperament also important, Bob, very much so amongst young players.
Yes, very. There's quite a few young players in this county, excellent bowlers, but 1 or 2 have got very poor temperaments, and you've got to combine the both to be successful. This mark they're bowling now is very difficult. They're going right across the ridge of the green.
This would be about 25, 27 metres?
Yes, yes.
Now, important here that...
Here's the trap he's set. See, across the ridge, he's missed it completely, and he's going to go away to the right.
Well, Skidmore will want to score a second bowl, but he won't want to show Ward the way in.
No, definitely not. The beauty of these ridge marks, of course, is that Nick is a left-hander bowling the right-hander, so the right-hander's really got to find his own land to a certain extent.
In connection with...
He's now going to fire because he's 2 down. He fancies he can't bowl it, so he's going to try and smash these off the green.
One of the interesting points about firing in the game of Crown Green bowls, many of the older people don't like to see it. I personally disagree with that. I think it's good theatre. I think it can wake up a game that's gone to sleep. I'm not suggesting this game has, but it creates atmosphere. Everybody's now watching this bowl. Will it or won't it hit? Yes, it has. So therefore, Chris Ward has achieved half of his objective. In other words, he's removed 1-shot bowl instead of being 2 down. Could be important at the end of the game. Now, therefore, the score is now 12-9 in favour of Nick Skidmore. You mentioned there, Bob, an interesting point, that Nick Skidmore is left-handed and Chris Ward is right-handed. There was a time in bowls, and there may still be a time in bowls, when left-handed players were regarded with a little bit of, not animosity perhaps, but certainly people didn't like to play them, and we shall shortly be seeing a bit later on one of the best left-handed players in the country in Peter Varney. What are your feeling about left-handed players?
Well, they reckon they should have been killed off at birth, but in this particular game of Crown Green Bowls, left-handers are very awkward to play, especially if they're using the side of the crowns, because you look at the body width and where they stand on the mat. So in actual fact, the right-hander is delivering from about, a foot and a half off-line to where the left-hander has delivered his jack.
And what, of course, you have to remember in the rules, that if you bowl right-handed, then you must have your right foot on the footer, and the same applies obviously if you're left-handed, it's the left foot on the footer. You're not allowed to change your bowls during the game. That's another important point, not always understood by many who are not familiar with the game of Crown Green Bowls. And it looks as though Nick himself has fallen into his own trap this time.
He's bowled beneath, just slightly offline, and he's fell away. Chris Ward has bowled a slightly higher line and finished 2 foot above the jack.
So the Victoria Park club player from Stafford has an opportunity once again of getting within one of Skidmore, and he's taken that opportunity this time. In fact, this is an excellent bowl now. Yes, 2-2. So that's 12-11 or 11-12, the correct way of giving the score, because it's the player that's delivering the jack whose score should be announced first. Not always done, but that is the correct procedure. So it's 11-12. Now, just at this moment in time, we're concentrating on this game, but Nick Skidmore probably will have noticed that one of the other scores is showing 18-3 to Steve Bennett. So psychologically, that'll boost other players on the green at the moment. So it's very important that Nick Skidmore retains his advantage, keeps adding to the plus. Remember, there is a leg being played in Staffordshire, and nobody at this moment knows how the North Midlands side are performing there. So very important, a big win here. I saw you smile when you looked at the scoreboard then, Bob.
Oh yes, 18-3. Is it 18-3 to Steve?
That's right.
Yeah, well, he has won this tournament that we hold on this green. He's won it once and been runner-up before, knows every little bit about it.
Mind you, too experienced a campaigner to believe that that's the end of that game.
Oh, by far. I think Vic Bailey's just had a strike at this end. They're debating on it. No, Vic's claiming one for himself.
Right. Now, that was just a little bit of information, an update on another game on the green. We're now back with Nick Skidmore. And while we've just been talking about the other game, momentarily, Chris Ward has scored again. So therefore the scores are now level at 12 across. Now, interestingly, Bob, when he put the jack down here before, he threw it off. Now, has he done the same again? Just bending round there, yeah.
It's about a yard and a half in.
That's right. It's a perfect shot here, as you can see, of the ball arcing round towards the jack. And this looks an exceptionally good ball. There you are, with 18 inches. Nick Skidmore, perfect delivery. Now we shall see Nick Skidmore's bowl coming down the green. Will this be the shot bowl? Very important for Skidmore to get past it. Just gone outside. Still the advantage to Chris Ward. All eyes are on this bowl. Can he score two? Really put Skidmore under pressure. No, he looks as if he's short with that ball. He could just have counted. Very difficult to see from this angle. Skidmore certainly won't want to be short. He knows he's possibly two down. He's playing up to the jack. He could run through. He could go off the green. Chris Ward's looking now. A little bit dejected, I would think, Nick Skidmore, with that particular end. Chris Ward looking, asking for two possibly here. It's a pretty dejected Nick Skidmore at the moment, looking at that bowl. He's conceded two. His game seems to have gone off the boil a little bit at the moment, Bob.
Whether he's disappointed about yesterday, I don't know, but I've certainly seen him bowl a lot better than this on this green, which is a green he does like to bowl.
Of course, when we're talking about yesterday, we're referring to the big event at the Waterloo Hotel Blackpool, where Nick Skidmore, who was expected to do well, lost in the first round of the Yorkshire Bank Crown King Championships. I must admit I was there, and he certainly wasn't the Nick Skidmore that I saw last year perform so well in the Champion of Champions tournament. But of course, it's all good experience, Bob.
Certainly. He's getting plenty of it. They're bowling one of the easier marks now, Mike. They're bowling on the top of the green, where if there is a flat bit on this green, this is what they're bowling. But this is typical of away bowlers. Find something quite simple, bowl it well. And there's an example of a bit of lack of confidence. He must be everything of 4 yards short of that jack.
Now he's 15-12 down, Bob. What's he got to do?
Keep battling away. Hope he can get the jack. Then try and dominate the game with the jack. There's Chris Ward put a lovely wood on now, right at the side of the jack.
Yes, and he's possibly line two here, which has prevented Skidmore from striking. So the object of the exercise here is first of all to save one. And I don't know whether he's done that. He looks a bit fast to me. He might be going out the back again.
Could be. He's just coming round. No, he's just saved one.
That's a good bowl. Save one. Interestingly enough, Chris Ward came into the game like most players through his father, and his father spent a lot of time in South Africa bowling. And I know Chris has benefited greatly from his father Nev, who for many years was one of the backbones of the Staffordshire County side. Now we're back on the same mark again. There's no need here for Chris Ward to change the mark. He's in control. If he counts this end, Skidmore will be really under pressure. And this looks a very good bowl here. Bowling with confidence now, Chris Ward. He's improved over the last 6 or 7 ends, Bob, the visitor.
Definitely, yes. He's got the weight now, and he's bowling this, what we would call one of the easier marks on this green. But that's all what away players are looking to do. Find an easy mark, bowl it well.
And that is an excellent bowl. That's one of the best bowls we've seen so far this afternoon by Nick Skidmore. That'll give him confidence. Now, watch this bowl come in now. He won't want to be short. Can he push this bowl out of Skidmore's? Wonderful try. Now Skidmore will attempt to come for two. He's nothing to lose here. Nothing to lose at all. Here's the bowl, arcing round again towards the jack. Just short, but he'll satisfy that. He's got one. What does he do now, Bob?
Oh, you're asking me. I wouldn't know. I would say he might go for a little short one now, just over the hill, which used to be his forte on this green.
And now, of course, he's on the Nick Skidmore, that is, on the dreaded figure 13. He'll certainly want to get off that fairly quickly. Oh, now he's changed the mark here, Bob. He's gone over the top of this crown, arcing round, go outside the jack here, and with confidence.
Well, not too much, a shade. He's gone into the bowl at the bottom of the hill, but these are the marks where he usually really gets good woods.
Now, what's happened there is that the referee has picked up the jack. He's returning the jack and the bowl to Skidmore. The reason being is that jack is in the way of someone else's game. And in accordance with the rules, they themselves have the right to object to that mark. Now, Skidmore has the opportunity, if he so wishes, to wait until the other end is completed by the two players who objected to the mark, which that has now happened, and put the jack back in exactly the same place. But he decided against that. He's decided to go a shade further. So It's his decision. In fact, he's gone a lot further, Bob, on this occasion.
Yes, well, he's had to because people are bowling down exactly where he wanted to, but the principle's the same. He's trying to get the maximum bend into the jack and his wood, as the other player was bowling that fairly straightish mark along the top of the green. He's trying to... So he's not up, he didn't get the weight. He's about 3 yards short of the jack.
Of course, that's the reason he's pulled narrow.
That's why he's pulled narrow, Mark, yes. He's got the... Well, he hasn't got the weight because he's pulled narrow. He's pulled down the hill. The other ball.
And it looks as though Chris Ward, well, he's delivered one of those bowls that you'd want to forget. But that's obviously always a problem on a green of this type. And it would appear to me on this occasion that Nick Skidmore hasn't really improved on his first bowl. That's not good bowling, Bob.
No, that's very poor bowling, that is. Very poor. He'll be very disappointed with that.
And I think it's true to say we're not being overcritical with that comment. We know very well that Nick Skidmore, if he sees this again, he will himself recognise as one of the young players, enthusiastic, wanting to do well, that really that's not a good bowl in a county game. And the trouble is now, by conceding that, he's given the advantage to his opponent, who now has got to score just 4 to win for Staffordshire. Yeah. And again, as we're speaking, Steve Bennett in the other game that's taking place on the green leads 25. So that would be very important if he can clinch that one required. Boost. You won't get it. Good bowl again here by Chris Ward. In connection with the other game, you'll know whether Steve Bennett has achieved success by the applause from the crowd. Nick Skidmore's trying here. Just hasn't reached the end, unfortunately. Chris Ward, watching this ball, looks a much better one here. Yes. Now he's counting 2, and if he scores those, he'll be within 2 of a 21-13 win. But Nick Skidmore's playing here. Misses his own. Can he stop? He has. A pressure bowl, that, Bob.
Yes, definitely. Good wood, that. Finished about 1.5 feet above the jack.
So whilst we've been concentrating on game number 3, which at this moment sees Chris Ward leading 17-14, we're going to switch fairly quickly to the very important game taking place between Steve Bennett and Vic Bailey. That's game number 4 on the green at the moment, and Steve Bennett is leading 26. And as you can see there now, it's Vic Bailey who's delivered the first bowl, and Steve Bennett in the white hat on your screen at the moment, former Midland Masters champion, has the opportunity of putting up a good bowl and clinching a wonderful psychological advantage for the home side in this very important county match. Taking his time now, there's a bowl in the way. Interestingly enough, Steve Bennett's father used to be a greyhound trainer. He's certainly romped home in this game at the moment. Still rain. No need to rush. Plenty of time. He knows his opponent is concerned. Vic Bailey's rubbing his head. He thinks, well, I've come here this afternoon. I've got 6. I haven't done myself justice. Very important this for you, Bob, as president, to get this win in the first 4.
First 4, yes. We're on a good start. Good start. This is 26. Vic Bailey's bowled a very poor wood. I'm sure Steve's going to capitalise on this.
And while we've been waiting, at the same time, further good news for the North Midlands. In the game that we were concentrating on, Nick Skidmore's now got another 2, so he's only 1 behind. But we are needing to concentrate on this game. Nice delivery. Is he there, Bob?
He's going to get over the hill, yes, he'll get over the hill. Yes, he's over. Once he's over, he'll run right down. And here it comes, down the hill. Might pull away to our right. He's just all very good there. This will take some beating down this hill.
So, Vic Bale...
The whole essence of this, Mike, is just to get it to trickle over the top of that hill.
Now, Vic Bale has certainly adjusted his weight this time. Is he on land, though? That's the important thing.
Well, I don't think he's got the weight here. He might, if he hasn't got the...
Will it? Everybody's looking.
No, I think they should pull away over here now.
And there we are, Bob. That's game now. And so, former Dunlop Open champion Steve Bennett wins the first game 21-6.
Vic Bailey 6. Steve Bennett 21.
An excellent performance that by Steve Bennett. Right, now we're going back to the match between Nick Skidmore and Chris Ward, and interestingly enough, that game is now 17 across. So this is very important that Nick Skidmore, he'll be aware, incidentally, that they've had a good winner. That'll boost his confidence. Chris Ward will be a shade dejected. He's probably been told the score.
North Midlands, Petrie Jewis, Hornswood, and for Staffordshire, Gordon Hawkins, Victoria Park.
One in the bag, Bob. 11 to go.
Another 11, yes. It's pretty rare to have all 12 winners, but we'll be satisfied with about a 40 or 50 shot lead.
Yes, and remember, as we said on the opening of the programme, that North Midlands have only got to win this match. That'll take them into the semi-finals, where they will face northern opposition. There are county matches taking place today, North Lancashire and Fylde, Lancashire, Cheshire, and that's the group that North Midlands and Staffordshire are in. Important this for Chris Ward.
Yes, I know whether he's adjusted from his first wood. His first wood was poor. He looks to be adjusted well. But he's up, yes.
That's a good ball.
Yes.
That's a good ball.
That's what we were saying, Mike. Good bowlers. He made a bit of a faux pas with his first, but he got on line and length and took the one shot.
I think, Bob, one of the nice things about Crown Green bowls is not only the friendship you make, but at least there seems 99% of the time a recognition by opponents when a good bowl is delivered.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's quite custom to say good bowl to your opponent when he has bowled a good bowl. If he wicks off one, you would say something slightly different, but yeah, all in all, there's quite good sportsmanship in the game.
Mind you, many people wicking against you. You don't seem to have it the other way, do you?
I bowl that many bad woods that they can wick in. They're that far away, that's why.
Now, interestingly enough, we're back in the same corner again where Chris Ward was so successful before, but on this occasion, Skidmore's crept in. Now, this is important, because if Chris Ward can get in here, he'll certainly put Skidmore under pressure. It's arcing round towards the jack. That's the bowl. Now remember, as this score stands at the moment, Nick Skidmore can't afford to be down this end. But he's down, so that means that Chris Ward now reaches 19. He's within 2 shots of a very important victory. Nick Skidmore, one of North Midlands' bankers, I would say, in this particular match. While we've been speaking, another game has started on the green between Petrie Jewis from Ornshwood and Gordon Hawkins from Victoria Park. Just a reminder that immediately a game finishes, another one starts. 12 in all in the side. Here again, notice the concentration by these young players. Again, no rush. Up the side of the green this time, Bob.
Yes, it's the mark he was bowling before. As I say, it's one of the more simpler marks, and the away players will look for these type of marks. Though this time he has bowled it more round peg, going more over to the edge and then swinging round at the end.
Now I think it's true to say that at least Skidmore needs to get in this end, but that's a marvellous bowl.
Excellent, excellent.
So, here you are, Bob. What does Skidmore do now?
Hope. Play up the line and hope that he can beat it. He's got to get adjacent to it. I would say he's not there. He's gone right out on the edge. No, his weight's not there. He's definitely off his game today. So.
That certainly is not a good bowl at all. He won't be satisfied with that. And of course, now he's given a tremendous chance for Chris Ward to clinch a very well-earned victory. And look at these two bowls now.
Well,
a strike, a fire.
I would say a strike. I wouldn't mess about trying to bowl this.
Well, he's
made his own choice. He's played up.
All hope, as you say now.
He's playing about a yard over through on a tighter line. He made a good effort.
Now all eyes now on the players to see who signals who shot. Certainly Ward hasn't signalled at all. They're both looking. A very important end for both players, this.
So Nick manages to save one, but at the subsequent end, Chris Ward chipped out with a single to make this final score 21-18.
He started well as Varney, Bob. 2-2s.
Excellent.
4-1. He leads. One interesting thing here, Bob, is that Peter Varney's wife Kim is marking. Very important wife support players in the game of Crown Green Bowls.
Oh, marvellous if they do. Same with the officials. The wife's usually the unpaid secretary, so it looks in Peter's case it's the unpaid scorer.
You'll be surprised how many bowlers' widows I come across.
Yes, there's one in my house, Mike. Oh, cracking one going down here.
Yeah, now this is an excellent bowl from Varney. He started to get going now. He knows the crowd are looking behind him. 24 in front of the North Midlands, a single figure card here, really puts them in the driving seat. Got to feel a little bit sorry for David Bate, though, coming and picking the game's #1 player, your county debut on a green like this.
You know, the days have gone now where we used to put what you would perhaps consider your better four in the last 12 now. The modern thinking is put some of your best players in the middle. Whether all counties do the same, I don't know, but we've seen in past games this season where even Brian Duncan's played in the middle of the team.
Yes, because interestingly enough, your county, and you'll remember the county selection committee, Varney was always number 12 for some time.
Always, yeah. But I think perhaps on his own thinking, he thought other counties are beginning to do this now. It's getting too predictable, putting your better players right at the back, or what you think are your better players right at the back, and counties are doing the same. Nowadays, they're now mixing them up all over the 12, hoping to get these single-figure wins.
And while we were talking there, Varney, you can see it shot at the moment, indicating to his opponent the bias he's delivering the jack. Scored another 2. That's 6-1. He leads. It's 2s that win games. Very important here now. North Midlands with one leg in that semi-final. Remember last year they were very, very disappointed. They finished bottom of the table. Many people outside the North Midlands couldn't understand what had gone wrong, but they seem to have got it right this time. Also remember, they've never won this county championship. It began in 1907. Not many Midland counties have. It was dominated by the North in the early years. 1961, 1960, 1968 and 1991, Bob, on the adjacent green when you lost to Yorkshire. That must have been the most disappointing moment of your presidency so far.
Yeah, pretty bad. We held them to single figures to the 8 at home and 8 away, but our 4 bowlers at home and the 4 bowlers away, it really collapsed, and we ended up losing by over 60 shots.
Now here again we see David Bate. He's running after this ball. It's an indication sometimes when a player runs after a ball that he fancies that that's the one that's going to win the end, but this one's going out. Possibly. No, it's just stopped. Right. Varney won't like that. He's a competitor. You want to get that jack back in his hand as quickly as possible. Where do I go this time, says David Bate. I'm playing the Midlands #1. He knows every inch of this green. I've practiced this for 20 minutes.
He's picked up It's a mark a lot of away bowlers bowl. They feel if it goes straight down the hill, they've only got to get the weight. He's bowled it in a reasonable place. The mark is not hard to get on in line, but the weight's the main object of this mark.
Very important to home players, Bob, that they receive support. Are you pleased with the support from the crowd this afternoon?
It's a good crowd today, very good.
That's a fair bowl by David Bates.
He's only pulled up about a foot short, 2 foot short on weight, a little bit off line, but...
Now Varney will know exactly what he wants his ball to do here. Arcing round now towards the...
Coming round. Well, I couldn't... We've got a foreshortened view of David Bates would. We can't see Peter's. It looks if Peter could be on. The jack's in a bowl. You can come in 2 ways to it.
For those who are not familiar with the Crown Green game, one has to remember that these bowls here weigh roughly average £2 12 ounces. The bowls used in the level green game are much heavier than that. Peter Varney is asking here who's shot. He's asking his opponent, in other words, to make a decision. That decision's been made, so Peter Varney knows that he stands 1. He's looking for 2. If he obtains that, it'll be 8-2. He leads. So this is an important ball. Trickling all the way down here, as we saw in the earlier games. It looks a good pace. He's only got to pass those short bowls. Will he? Won't he? No. Now, what's he done? Damage or not?
Well, it was his wingwood that was counting. Oh, you can see.
Relief on Peter Varney's face there. 7-2. Relief on your face, Bob.
Certainly. I thought he'd have gone a bit wider and used the bank, the other side of the bowl, to come in, but there you are. Who am I to tell him how to bowl?
Because one other important facet here, that Peter Varney, he's a member of the North Midlands Selection Committee. People do have views in the game on players who play in county teams being on Selection Committee. What do you think about that?
Well, there's anything wrong with it. They're mostly knowledgeable people. Peter's just joined this year to the Selection Committee. He brings his own views, which are not always the same as everybody else, but it's another viewpoint.
I think equally, I have to say that it's important to have somebody, in my opinion, on the county selection committee like yourself, who, with all due respect, is never going to play in the county team, but at least you can be fair, objective, and put your point of view.
Yes, without a doubt. It helps to have somebody with some knowledge of the game who's definitely not a player. But it's the choice of the counties. We have a voting system. Players, anybody can put their name forward as a selector, chosen at the AGM.
And it's an unenviable task.
You've got to be thick-skinned.
Yeah. Now, David Pate, an important ball for him here. Good ball. I think it's fair to say, with a player making his debut, he doesn't seem to be concerned by the opposition, and he certainly, he doesn't seem to have any nerves at the moment, Bob.
No, he doesn't. It's a little unusual for a person making his debut to come away. Usually they make their debuts at home on a green that they're a little bit more familiar with, but there you are, that's Staffordshire's choice.
Because realistically, let's be quite honest, Staffordshire have no chance of winning anything at the moment, so they're adopting the policy that Lancashire have adopted today, I understand. They're blooding a few.
Yeah, it is. They are doing that because they know they can't win. It's either out of us or Manchester who's going to go through. By all means, it's a good thing. I mean, once you're out of the actual winning of your group, then you give your fringe players a chance to see what they can do in an actual game.
Now, I would think that Peter Varney will consider that is not a good bowl, and he must have a chance of beating that one. In fact, he's looks nicely paced now.
Yeah, it's good weight. This is running down to it.
Yes, that's a good bowl.
Very good. I don't know it. They're doing all right. Yeah.
Now you can see on that shot the people in the background enjoying the sun, enjoying the bowls. Here we are, Peter Varney's last bowl of this end. course, conditions are not always like this, Bob, are they? I mean, when it's tipping it down in rain, bowls is akin to water polo, but at least the main point is that bowls have to be adaptable. Tomorrow it could be tipping down in rain, they'll be playing, they've got to adapt to the conditions.
On with the waterproof spike boots, especially if you're going to try and hurl it up 60 yards up this green.
Yes, now, Peter Varney has taken his time with this bowl. He knows that he's looking for 2, but I don't think he's going to go.
I don't think he don't know if he's on yet, does he? I think David Bates said he didn't know. That's right, measures.
Calling for measures. Now, so this is the second measure in this game. Obviously, David Bates can't decide for himself. On the basis that he's called for the measures, it may be that he slightly fancies Peter Varney, but we shall see. David Bates, a company director, and of course one of the game is that people, it doesn't matter what their profession is, labourers, chairmen of firms, company directors, they can all be skillful at this game. The game's number 1 player has been in the bowls business, he's kept a pub, he's been a bookmaker, but at the end of the day he makes his money playing bowls, and there are several big prizes to be won in competitions today, Bob.
Oh, marvellous prizes if you're good enough. They are shared out over a few players, but of course Brian creams off most of the money. But bearing the fact that, what did he say last year, Mike? His entry fees were about over £1,000, weren't they, for all the tournaments he goes in?
That's right, and just to give those of you some idea who are not familiar with Crown Green Bowls, it's true what Bob says, £1,000 entry fees, but that particular player earned over £25,000 in prize money. A tremendous amount, and Peter Varney will have picked up a few decent prizes in his very shorter career. Now the score stands in that game at David Bates 4, Peter Varney 7. Not doing too badly at the moment, the visitor. We're watching this bowl now, coming across this high crown, dropping down towards the jack now. And that's not a bad bowl. Remember also that in this game the jack is biased, as against the level green game when it's not.
Whether he's going to stop, I don't know. There's a lip up there which generally holds the wood back.
Looks as if it's gone out, so David Bates will be looking for his first 2 in this contest, and that'll certainly please him.
He won't get it with this wood. He's left it.
No, that's a poor ball in actual fact from the Staffordshire player. He won't be very satisfied with that. And Peter Varney really should get in here, a player of his class.
Oh, he should score here. He's going up to David Bates' leader wood now.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yes, he scored. I don't know whether it's 1 or 2. I think it's 1.
Yes, looks to be only 1 to Peter Varney. Halfway stage in the game. Not overawed by the occasion, this Will and All Liberals player. And as Bob was saying earlier, he's coming away, and he couldn't have had a harder draw. But it'll stand him in good stead. Because Staffordshire, in actual fact, North Midlands have not had a good run in the county championship. Staffordshire have done even worse. It's many, many years since they even reached the final stages. They'd never won it. I think there's a view that Staffordshire have the players, but they don't seem to be able to pull it out on the day. But Barry Pugh, who's the manager of Staffordshire, is certainly doing a good job. He's selecting new greens, that's what it's all about. They perhaps haven't got some of the greens that the North Midlands have got, but no doubt they've got some good young players, and that's what it's all about. There again, short, David Bates, Peter Varney, holding 1. Yes, this looks to be another bowl. Run out there, it's run a long way. In fact, it may have gone out that end, so David Bates will think he fancies his chances of getting at least 1 back here, but he may have made the same mistake as Peter Varney. Go a long way yet, this bowl.
Yes, Yes, can't win it. Can't win it.
Yes, Peter's having a look. Yep. And David Bates also having a look. He's blowing his cheeks. He knows that he didn't have a very good bowl. It looks like calling the measures again. Fourth time now. Veteran Charlie Fox measuring for the North Midlands. Waiting for the referee, who's been attending a game elsewhere on the green, to come across, make the appropriate measurement. Could be 14-5 to Varney here if he's got two. Here he goes, wait for the signal. Yeah, 2 to Peter Varney. 14-5, he leads. Bob, various points of interest in bowls at the moment, and one of those, and I know this is particularly close to your art, is the standard of dress of players. Now, here this afternoon, we see a variety of dress on the green. I think there's a general opinion in Crown Green bowls that we've got to smarten our game up. I think it's true to say that youngsters are coming through, are taking some of the stuffiness out of the game. They're aware of this, they're more fashion conscious. What are your views on this?
Well, I don't mind fashion at all. It's one thing I absolutely abhor is I've even seen jeans this year. I've seen shorts in one of the junior matches, which is diabolical. I don't believe in going the whole hog and being all dressed in white like our other brethren, but I definitely think that we ought to have a uniform dress, and I think the uniform dress is, in the North Midlands, we try to aim for grey trousers, white shirt. Uniform always makes the teams feel together. Smartness in appearance means a lot. As you see with the Staffordshire, some are wearing black shirts, some are wearing red shirts, but this is their choice. But we are in the British Crown Green world trying to move this way. We certainly haven't made any concrete rules about dress, but I think it will come in.
So as Peter Varney scores another 2 to take his score to 16-5, all you young players in the North Midlands who are watching this will be aware of what the county president expects from you. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. Dress is important, jeans not allowed, and as someone who travels myself all over the country, I heartily endorse the president's remarks. We need to look smarter, we need to provide a better image. We're working at it, we've still got some room for improvement. 16-5 to Peter Varney. His wife Kim at the moment is marking the card. She's satisfied, but this isn't nothing out of the ordinary to Kim Varney. She's marked many single figure cards for her husband. Not a good bowl there. But last time David Bate came down here, he was narrow, and the bowl pulled away. It'll be interesting to see whether he corrects it this time, Bob.
Yes, he's got it this time, yes. He's got a good wood here. He's definitely corrected it. Peter's, 3 yards away to the right, or our right.
Of course, Peter Varney, one of the best correctors of a second bowl in the game of Crown Green bowls.
This should fall back to the jack. Has he got the weight? He's running. Could have trickled out, or it's fell over. Might have fell in, I can't quite see.
Maybe another measuring job here. David Bate, quite rightly, is asking who shot, and Peter Varney's conceded it. And at this moment in time, the North Midlands game number 5 shows Steve Berry 19-12 in the lead against Bob Marsh. Game number 6, 16-13 to Steve Jones from Walsgrave. And the only game that the North Midlands are trailing in the middle 4 is game number 8, where young Alan Gilfillan is interestingly 10-7 down to the current Staffordshire champion, 21-year-old Craig Barker. Another youngster playing well. Another good lead there by David Bate. Yeah, this one. Short there, Peter Varney.
Game just up. That's match number 5. Peter Lewis, North Midlands 21. Gordon Hawkins, Staffordshire 12. Peter Lewis 21-12. Match number 5.
And now Peter Varney will want to pass that short bowl, certainly. 14-6, 16-7 now he leads. And he hasn't passed that bowl, so he's given bait. Another shot. He keeps picking up these odd ones, Bob.
Yes, he won a good end down here and he's delivered a good wood up there, which Peter uncharacteristically was shorter. That's one thing these top bowlers never do, is bowl short. It's interesting to hear that result from Peter Lewis. There's a young player we brought in this year, and that's his 3rd win on the trot now. 2 at home and 1 away.
Staffordshire marker for game number 9.
And the conditions here, while sunny, are fairly windy, and due to that, my card blew over, unfortunately, and the information I gave you on those scores was slightly incorrect, which I'll correct shortly. I was referring to the away leg, which proves that commentators make mistakes as well as bowlers.
Yeah. I think they told you the wrong peg, Mike.
That's right.
Can he stop? Yes, beautiful.
Now that in the game is known as willing an end on length, and in the level green game that would be referred to as a bowl that is jack high. But nevertheless, whatever you call it, that was an excellent bowl by Peter Varney. David Bates seems to be better here.
Yes, he's coming down nicely now. He'll be trying to get round his own short wood and rest on Peter's side wood, but no, he's not made it. Peter's on.
Room for 2, somebody shouts, but Peter Varney knows very well he can create danger for himself here. Not an easy bowl to come for 2, certainly.
I couldn't now come to game number 9, ladies and gentlemen. For North Midlands, can we have Dave Farmer from Haunchwood?
And he's trying.
Yes, I don't know whether he's quite got the weight. He's coming round. He's coming round. Yes, excellent.
Now that is the sign of a top player. When you want to, you get to, and you make your own luck.
Peter Varney completed a very competent performance against him, winning 21-8.
At this moment in time, the North Midlands hold an advantage at home by 39, an advantage away by 22. There's 61 shots in front. It would appear the home and dry. Bob Harrigan, 61 up. You couldn't be more pleased.
Yeah, marvellous, marvellous. The only thing we don't want to happen is what happened in the final when we faded away in the last fours, but I don't think that's going to happen. No, the lads are performing brilliantly away, which is what we wanted them to do, and the home team to get a commanding lead. Things are going according to plan. Let's hope they stop like that.
First thing to notice here is that Mel Evans, like Peter Varney, like Nick Skidmore, is left-handed. Mel, the famous red hat, has won many competitions in Staffordshire, and this year has created history in his association by winning the Collins Cup, a very prestigious tournament there, which means that he's one of the very few players to win both the Collins Cup in Staffordshire and the Senior Merit, but more importantly, he's won 5 major competitions in Staffordshire in his bowls career, and he's the first player to do so. He's an acknowledged corner bowler, but in all honesty, he'll have his work cut out against Dave Rawlings, who is well known for his performances on this Dunlop green. Twice winner of the Dunlop Open, a very formidable opponent, and of course number 12, a player who is hoping to ram home that North Midlands advantage. Confidence booster here required as they move into the semi-final, hopefully. Not a good end to start with, but one has to bear in mind that both players have probably practiced 2.5 hours ago. The green will have changed since then. Maybe a measures job, the first end, and it is. Now, although those bowls are far away, Bob, there's an old saying, they all count on the card.
Well, they do all count on the card, but really they are poor bowls for 2 bowlers of their stature. I would have thought they would have bowled that mark a lot better than that. There's only one on the line, and then that's gone right through. The others are all spread about a bit.
Now, you know Dave Rawlings for many years. What are the qualities of Dave Rawlings?
Oh, he's fighting, no doubt. He's never say die spirit. He is one of the top bowlers, still is one of the top bowlers in this county and the field.
Plays for the Camden Club. Of course, has done very well on occasions in top competitions outside. He's been runner-up in the Bass Olympia, runner-up in the Epworth Crown King event at the Waterloo Hotel. Comes from the Camden Club in Coventry. And the referee indicates that the first shot has gone to Dave Rawlings, so the advantage is with the home player. That is important.
As they say in the game, Mike, he got that one on tram tickets.
And that's important, you know. A comment there by Bob. It isn't all serious. This game has humour. There's some very, very humorous characters in the game of Crown Green Bowls. You meet them all over the country, and that's good for the sport. Now, here's an interesting mark, Bob. This hasn't been bowled by any player that we featured this afternoon so far, and as I speak, the jack's gone off the green, so it may not be bowled again. It'll be interesting now to see what happens here, because Mel Evans now, in accordance with the rules, has the opportunity to cast the jack, to set the mark. And he obviously won't go where Rawlings delivered that jack. He knows very well that probably Rawlings has gone there for a reason. Now, Mel Evans is fully entitled to stand on that mat until the jack stops.
This is the mark that Nicky was trying to bowl and dominate on. The jack was going to stop on the top. It has stopped about a yard short of this hole. The best wood will be the one that stops just in front. If you go through, you will go through about 4 or 5 yards.
And of course, a man of the experience of Rawlings on this green, he'll know that. He'll have weighed that. That's what he'll be playing for. And he's done it.
Yes, that's not a bad wood there. It may look a little bit away, but the amount he's got to put in to reach the jack is practically nil.
Mel Evans, a fine competitor for many years in Staffordshire, comes from the Chadsmore Club in Cannock, one of the Midlands' top teams, winner of the Midlands Super Cup on more than 3 occasions. And he may just have crept in there, very difficult. The angle is deceptive.
No, he's not in there. David's in.
There you are. Who am I to argue with the president of the North Midlands?
He's coming in a tighter line to get into this. Mel, if he'd have bowled the exact land, he perhaps would have won the end of that. But David's going to now fall away. No, he got perfect weight. It's just kept him nearly jack high.
Now, of course, here again, we talked about Peter Varney correcting the second bowl, and a man of the calibre of Mel Evans is equally up to that task, although he's up here.
Racing, he'll go right through. There it is, down the hole and away it goes.
Now, I think that end, Bob, where Dave Rawlings has scouted to, indicates the paramount importance of having experience of the green in which you're playing.
Oh yeah, David would obviously knew that he hadn't got to go past the jack unless he would have gone yards past. He purposely bowled his woods just short, then challenged Mel to beat them.
3-0, Dave Rawlings leads. Now, of course, Dave Rawlings will want to get a good result here, because I understand in the first match of the season, Bob, he didn't get a good scoreline, and obviously he's expected to win most games. He didn't do so. A little bit of pressure for him. He's on the county selection committee. He'll need a good win this afternoon.
Well, he does, but he hasn't got to completely rely on this. I mean, his past form, his current form is good enough to get him in. He just had one of those games on one of his favourite greens where he didn't perform to his best ability. But at the moment, he's trying to get into this top corner, because I know he's going to bowl right round into the bottom corner, which he's been bowling immaculately for the past month or so, even against the home bowlers from the Dunlop club.
And he's certainly got a good start there with the bowl. Mel's gone in the ditch. So Rawlings will want to get another one in here, really start off as he means to go on, put the pressure on Evans from the start. He now knows that his county are virtually assured of victory.
There's 2 cracking wood in the corner now.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mel Evans doesn't strike here. He's one of the best strikers in the Midlands. Doesn't miss many, does Mel. Here he goes. He's indicated going to strike. Doesn't miss many, Mel Evans.
Over these hills. Takes a good striker to pick the line up.
Left-handed. Waiting for another end to clear. There it goes. Across the green. Unfortunately, we didn't see that end, but Mel Evans missed. So therefore, with that miss, it means now that the North Midlands player takes the early lead 5-0.
Now we'll see him bowl right round the top of the green into the bottom opposite corner.
Of course, here again, Bob, we have the right-handed player taking on a left-handed opponent, which means it'll be even more difficult
For the left-hander to follow him, yes. He's got just adjust his land to the right-hander's land. He's trying to get right into that favourite corner of his, right down the bottom there. The object is to get the jack nearer to the ditch, because there's a dish in the green where the woods all tend to end up with the same sort of weight. David will be trying to get his jack as far as he can towards the clubhouse.
I think what is also important to people viewing this for the first time, particularly younger players, is that tactics play a very important part. Sometimes youngsters don't recognise that, and Bob is indicating by his comments there exactly what Dave Rawlings is trying to do. Tactically, he knows that Evans is a corner bowler, but he also knows that this is a very difficult mark to bowl, and he's prepared to gamble on his experience of this green as against Evans' lack of experience. Will it come off? We shall see.
Yes, reasonable pace. He's going down. Yes, he's got good pace, but remember that this corner's all dry, like concrete, really roll. Oh, he looks to have lovely weight here. Excellent wood in that corner.
Now, that is an exceptionally good bowl, as indicated by Bob Harrigan. Now, talk us through this bowl from Mel Evans, Bob.
He looks to be a little bit quicker. I'm not too sure. He's going down the hill. If anything, he may be on the... No, he's got good line here. He's got good line. He's got a chance here. He's coming round. Very good. Very good.
Now, as I said earlier, Mel Evans is one of the best corner bowlers in the Midlands, and he demonstrated with that bowl what an excellent player he is under pressure in the corners. And Rawlings, rather surprisingly, is going to attempt a strike here, and the reason for that is he's gambling that if he takes it out, Evans will not be so fortunate with his next ball. A gamble here by Rawlings. Of course, if he misses, he gives the opportunity of Evans scoring 2, and he's missed. So Mel Evans certainly has got 1 on the card, unless he does something silly, and a chance of getting 2. He's surprised by that shot by Rawlings, Bob.
Well, not really. He thinks that his first wood is good enough to count for 2. He doesn't think that Mel can put 2 in there, but I wouldn't be surprised that this one going down didn't score 2. He's got lovely line. He's going round the back. I don't know whether he's going to peg enough round to count. Might even go off. It's trickling. Yes, it's gone. There you see the difficulty of that mark.
Rather unfortunate there, Mel Evans. He attempted to get 2. He's got just the 1, but more important, for the first time in the game, apart from the very first end when he led out, he has the jack. So the control of the game is in his hands. He can start to dictate now. He'll try and bowl these sort of silly little marks I think you referred to earlier, Bob.
Silly marks, Mark. The way bowlers is looking for a normal straight sort of mark, not too difficult to bowl, where you're just pitting your bowling ability against the opponent rather than against the opponent and the green.
Now, earlier on I talked about Dave Rawlings being a member of the county selection committee, one also has to remember that Mel Evans probably was one of the best organisers of bowls when he ran the big Bass Olympia competition, which unfortunately is no longer taking place. A fine administrator in the game, put something back, equally a fine competitor. And equally a very good doubles player, along with his county colleague John Turner, who this afternoon has bowled exceptionally well here, winning his game 21-14 for Staffordshire. And a good bowl there from Mel Evans.
He's going through, he's overplaying.
Mel will be anxious here now to get in this end, score his first two. No, he's dropped it short. That's a very poor bowl. He'll... Looks better weight with this, Bob.
I think he could be through again here on this green. I think he's going to go through again.
Yes, correct. So Mel Evans scores another one. Dave Rawlings now leads 5-2. I think it's true to say, Bob, no matter what skill you possess or what technique you use and how subtle your tactics, to become a champion at bowls, you must be a good competitor. And these two players have demonstrated over many years that they're just that.
You've got to be hard at the game. You know, good losers don't win nothing. That's a daft thing to say in one way. Well, I mean, it's no good being a good loser.
I think also it's interesting that bowls combines the finest exercise of all, walking with absorbing competition, involving both technical skill and tactical ingenuity. And I think that sums it up perfectly. And that's what we've seen so far this afternoon, players from both sides demonstrating to the full. And of course you've got to have the ability, Bob, to recognise that today you may be the champion and tomorrow you may be an also-ran.
Well, you can be, but I mean, we're looking at a bowler now who's recognised one of the best county bowlers in the country and competition bowlers is Mel, and yet last year, if I remember, he had a 21-0 against him. So there you are, it can happen to anybody.
That's right, 21-0, as Bob quite rightly calls, to Mel Evans, but the important fact of that is he's still in the team. So therefore it's recognised by those who select that any player can have his off day. But since then he's recovered, because in the last county match he was the best winner from Staffordshire, 21-7, and he's got another two there.
Typical away bowlers, Mark. Down the hill, not too hard to find the line, it's all on weight. And if you keep putting them there and thereabouts, you've got to play up and you've got to get by the shorter wood.
Of course, we have to weigh up the situation. Rawlings has gone on last. He knows virtually that you're now in the semi-finals. He'll still compete, but he knows that the county are through to the semi-finals.
I don't think he'll relax, Mark. He's very proud of his county record, and he likes wins. That's what he likes.
That's right. That's what I was hoping you would say. And the same thing implies in reverse to Mel Evans. He virtually knows when he's gone on, and he'll want to win.
All these bowlers are very proud of their records, and they'll fight hard to keep their own personal records.
Just give you the result of the raffle, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for your support this afternoon. For the bottle of Martel Brandy on the white, 96 to 100. White, 96 to 100. For a bottle of Bell's Whiskey, 506 to 510 on the yellow. 506 to 510 yellow. For a bottle of vodka, 516 to 520 on the book. 516 to 520 on the book. For a bottle of Lambrusco, 631 to 635 on the green. 631 to 635 on the green. And for a bottle of wine, 566 to 570 on the yellow. 566 to 570 on the yellow. Please
Now, measures are called for by the two players. Not a busy afternoon so far for the referees and measurers, but they've done a good job. They're important to the game of Crown Green balls. This is an important end, in a sense, for Dave Rawlings. Of course, Dave himself, he organises quite a few competitions that take place in the North Midlands. So there again, he's a player putting back something into the game. Important. One more to Mel Evans. So the game is now level at 5 across. Mel Evans seems to have gained a bit of confidence over the last 2 or 3 ends, Bob.
He's bowled some good woods, and he's on a typical away bowler. I think he's going to come back down this hill again. All you want, if you can get the weight up and down the hill, it's very hard to beat. David is striving like mad to get this jack back, to start swinging him around the crown, get him on some marks where he's got to get the land and the weight perfect.
Now Mel will just want to climb the hill, trickle down the other side, hopefully end up in front of the jack. But that's gathering speed all the time. You go well past now.
We've got about a yard pass. It's not too bad. It's very... I wouldn't rumble too much about that wood down these hills.
What about this one, Bob?
Well, this looks about the right pace. He's coming down a slightly tighter line to it, so he's going to peg away, I would think. Yes, he has done. He's pegged away.
Mel Evans, of course, has the opportunity here of going ahead in the match for the first time.
He's going to go through again.
He could be counted too.
He's got to get a good wood here to score.
A pressure bowl here from Rawlings.
Well, this one did struggle to get over the hill. Whether this is going to run all the way, I don't know. It's gathering pace. It's coming down the right line. Oh, I think this has got a chance. Oh, it's pegging away because he's not... Hard to see.
Yes, could still be 2 down there, Dave Rawlings. Both players having a look. Maybe another decision job by the referee.
It's 1 against the 2. One of Davies against 2 of Mel's.
Yeah. Measures again. He was expected to be tight, this particular match. It certainly is. Another point to Mel Evans, and he takes the lead for the first time. Now, 15-10, Mel Evans leads. What's Rawlings got to do now? He's got to buckle down, he's got to get his head down, he's got to fight, he's got to call on all that county experience.
Well, he's doing all that, but Mel's on this away mark, and if he bowls the weight, it's very hard to beat. Just simply going to go up and down this hill.
Of course, let's be fair, the longer Mel Evans holds the jack, the more difficult it becomes for Rawlings to get in.
You start to suffer with your weight a little bit. Whereas Mel's full of confidence bowling down here. He's got the weight perfect. They are weight perfect.
Watching this bowl intently, Dave Rawlings. Looks to be a little bit better this time.
He will come back to it. He's gone a little wide, but he's coming back to it. They are lovely wood. There, he's in there with a cracking wood.
Now he wants to count that. He wants to get a confidence-boosting bowl, and that's it, unless Mel Evans can beat it with this one that's coming across the green now, which seems to be...
It's too heavy, I would say. He's got to have a bit of luck here and hit something.
Missed. So therefore, at least Dave Rawlings is counted one, and he's got a chance of winning two. There's no danger here. He can come for the second bowl.
Well, you say no danger. Anything slightly weight and he touches that jack, he's going to go straight to his backwoods. I would say he would err on the more the safety side, but he's down and he likes the challenge. He's coming in from the right. This looks very good. Very good. Beautiful woods there. Now his problem starts. He's winning this next end.
Yes, because he's now trailing 15-12.
Win this next end, then he can get away from these up and down.
Because it's never easy to play number 12 at home, Bob, because one of the problems is that, all right, there is another game on the green at the moment, but if that finishes first, then all eyes and focus of attention are on the two players on the green at the moment.
Plus the fact some players don't like number 12. They've been stood around for 2 hours, 2.5 hours before they get on the green, but some people thrive in it. I think David doesn't mind playing number 12. He liked the green to himself.
Looks narrow, Bob, from our position.
Yeah, but I think he could win it with that wood. David's way short. The crowd haven't indicated who's on up in that top corner.
A shirt sleeve crowd here this afternoon at the Dunlop Club.
David's going in with the tighter line this time and he's not up. No, it's a poor wood. No, Mel's on.
Because one of the problems is with being number 12 as well, Bob. If you bowl bad bowls, then you can't hide. Everybody's seen them, and the problem is they always remember the last game as well. Mel.
The other thing is that the green's full of experts, all telling him how to bowl and thinking they can do better.
Mel Evans, 16-12 in the lead now. Yes, some of the best bowlers here this afternoon will be those on the side of the green. It's also interesting this afternoon, and I think it's worth giving a mention to the fact that the Staffordshire players are wearing jerseys with the Bass emblem on, and Bass are one of the biggest sponsors of the sport and have been so for many, many years, and sponsors are important in the game, Bob.
Well, they are. They're a very rare breed now. Bass do give us a little bit towards our Dunlop Open, which we're very grateful for. They, as with all sports, they're all crying out for sponsorship. They come from the heart of the Basque country, so perhaps it's not a bad thing for Bass to latch on to one of the counties and to display their logos.
And another good bowl there while Bob was speaking from Mel Evans.
This is a good mark. They're coming round this brink of around this hill now, round this base. Look, here it comes round.
An excellent reply there from Dave Rawlings. Mel Evans hasn't asked the referee for any decision, so he must have decided in his own mind that it's against him.
Is that a weight tactic again? Mel coming down into the bottom of the middle of the green because he's going to bowl straight up and down the hill if he wins the end. This is the fascination of it, the tactics employed by the two bowlers. He's got a chance here. He's got a chance here. Oh, just fell and rolled the other way.
Undecided here, Mel. Normally a good judge of a ball. He's decided that he feels that his own ball is shot, but that's only natural. Referee Brian Varney, neutral from Derbyshire. Remember, refereeing his first county match, has been called on to make a very important decision in this game. He's not sure. Dave Rawlings coming in here now, which...
Yeah, nice wood here. Nice wood. He can come in off one of them. Stop. Oh, lovely wood.
And the crowd shouting woo.
Yes, nice conceded one.
Here comes the judge, as they say in Crown Green Bowls. Important this again. Rawlings needs a 2 to get back into this game, get back into contention. It's close. The referee checking very, very closely the tightness of the string. That's the important factor. Now on to Mel Evans' bowl. Looks like he can't split them, so Dave Rawlings just counts 1. Unfortunate that. He probably fancied his chances at 2 and would want to that end.
Just starts slowing about there, and he starts to bend round now to the jack. Beatable.
That bowl well described by Bob Harrigan. This one, Bob.
Yes, he's got nice pace. He's got to just into that green when it slows. Then it starts slowing on that bank now. Pick the jack up. I would say he's won that.
Fell over.
No indication from the crowd who's on. He's there and thereabouts again. This is better than his first. Yes.
Now that bowl puts Mel Evans within 2 shots of victory.
Now David will be playing through. Try and take the jack to score 2 here. He won't be short. No, he isn't. He's going straight for the jack now. There you are.
Yes, good shot that by Dave Rawlings. 1 down to conversion to 2 to his advantage. So the score now is Dave Rawlings 16, Mel Evans 18, all to play for.
Oh, 2 shots to David Rawlings. Puts him into the lead right near the end, 19-18. Rolling this finger peg into this corner. Seems to got nice weight. Start to peg. Hold, it's very fast there. Yes, very nice. About a foot behind the jack.
Oh, right. Yeah, about 38 shots I took. 38 shots up.
Mel's got good weight. Starting to bend. Is he going to slide through?
Done you,
Oh,
Dave.
brilliant wood. Inside David's. He's playing through. He's playing at Mel's wood. And he got it. Lovely shot. Lovely shot. There's that demonstration again of playing through at the end to take the opponent's wood or take the jack through. He's lying game on. What's Mel going to do? No, he's bowling the weight. Right, he's playing through now. Davies line 2 for game. What's happening? Gone through. He's slid out.
So Dave Rawlings has won that game 21-18.
It's on to the last game, ladies and gentlemen. The win for the North Midlands.